Hey, it's the Chief Bonnie with Board Games, and this is a preview video of Purple Haze from PHALANX Games. You're headed to Vietnam, baby. Good morning, Vietnam. All right, love that box. I love the yellow, the black Hueys, the white silhouetted Marines. Let me zoom in so you can see them a little bit. Perfect. Let me come back out. Yes, that dice tower from the dice tower will be needed in this. You're going to have a lot of dice flying around. Now, before I walk around and show you all the components, this is a preview copy of the game. Many things could change, but I'll show you what I got, and then I'll talk through some of the stuff that I think works really great. So first, let me rotate down. All right, you will see extra boards right there. And if I slide down, you'll see the board that I'm currently working on. Right here with, it was storyline 1. There's one extra little, I don't know, it's like a little telephone symbol that's not on there because I was playing. The blue square is the headquarters I'm trying to get back to. This counter token right here is Bravo Company, my company, or squad. It's a little smaller than, way smaller than a company or platoon. And you'll see that the squares are grids, and let me zoom in just a little bit more, and you can see the numbers coming up the edge and along the top edge there. I was a medic in an infantry unit, but reading a map is very similar. They're grids like this with numbers coming up and along. So the movement is either left, right, up, down, or you can go diagonally. The different symbols, so some are hills, some are jungle, some are mountainous. You're going to have city areas that will have little buildings in there. Depending on the terrain you're in, your fatigue when you move can cost more, and going diagonal actually will cost a little bit more fatigue as well. There's some of the dice you'll be seeing. We'll be talking about more of those in a little bit. This is your board where you will be tracking time. The time that it takes to march will matter and is actually displayed, if I can get my finger on here, by these different, those are the different symbols you'll see on the map. The top portion shows you the time it will take, and let me come over the top. The bottom shows you the amount of fatigue, and yes, you can track in 15-minute increments of time. As you move around, you will become fatigued and you will end up having to camp. They actually have like a little TP symbol, and eventually you'll have to rest with your squad. You have this cool element of being able to put out claymore mines to help protect yourselves in case you get attacked. And I won't go into all that here, but it's one of the items you can bring along with you. You then have an alert tracker, which is as you tromp around in the jungle or wherever in a city, you will make noise or you will draw attention, and if you make enough of those, eventually you will trigger a combat, which is, sorry, down here. That's this line here. This is your fatigue line up here. This is your combat line right there. And if you get into these 8, 9, and 10 spaces where you see that little star, you will trigger combat. I'll show you how a combat goes with this system. And then down below, of course, you have this red and this green. This is determine initiative. As combat starts to tick off, the U.S. forces will do something, and what you do will move this arrow certain amount of spaces that way. And then the VC may get an action, but if they only move it 3, they'll get to take another combat action, which then pushes it over into this. Then the Marines will take an action, and maybe they get to do another one, or maybe it pushed it all the way over here. So this is the back and forth of combat. This board down here, when you're in combat, as you take out VC units represented by die, different die with the strength being the pips on them. As you take them out, they'll come in. They'll tell you everything from, cohesion starts to get ruined, so all of a sudden there's less initiative from the VC enemy units, experience points you're getting, different things on that board. Match things. So first you have your your character board, which has all these different individual things for the character: intelligence, survivability, perception, their mental stability, and their physical health. But you'll see you can give them whatever weapon you want, well, within restrictions. This one happens to be a shotgun. There's ammo that goes with how much carry or load they can bring with them, and sometimes there's restrictions on that. And then you have this little attachment card here. In the very first scenario, all but one of your units are brand new guys, cherries, rookies. But as you go, and as you go, if you're doing the campaign system, you can level them up very ambush style. Their perception can get better. They can turn into scouts or radio men or medics or infantrymen that have different skills that are shown on the card here, and they can get better at finding cover when they get shot at. So there's this is a role-playing element that allows you to upgrade your troops and makes you care about them as you play. Now you'll see over here, this is red and it's got a mark through it. This is my second. You can see this 2-pip die. If a unit takes an action, you'll flip this. So this guy, that would be he hasn't taken an action yet, and if it's flipped, he has. Now this one's taken some damage. That's 1 health damage, 1 mental damage. You can see he's armed with the M79. Just real quickly, you can see the range here are these triangles. So at range 1, the M79 can't be used. That's too short of a range. So only at range 2 or 3, and when we get into the combat card, I'll show you that. Meanwhile, the shotgun I should have showed you. The shotgun can be used at range 1 or 2, but it can't go out to range 3. It's a better close-up weapon. And again, we'll get into some of that. I'll show a couple of cards. I'll probably do it with the M16, which we're looking at now. But here's another troop. This one actually is set up as a medic, and so there's some different skills that come along. So you see the A is for the type of ammo it uses. It's rifle ammo, not like the 40 millimeter grenade for the M79. You can see the blue is going to show you an area fire, as if I just emptied the entire magazine, but that's going to allow me to shoot at 2 different areas. If you'll look, you can see the 5 and then the double arrows. That is the initiative, which will kick back 5 toward the VC. You'll see the 6 or the 6 red die I will be rolling, and you will see there's a little tiny die up in the right-hand corner of that. That means I get to do 1 reroll, and then you'll see that explosion token symbol to the right, the far right. That means I'll be able to target 2 locations on the combat board, and I'll show you the combat board in a little bit. Now, if I wanted to be using more aimed shots, you would look at the cream area right below it with the 4 and the double arrow. So an aimed shot is going to actually, instead of moving at 5 on the initiative track, I'll only move at 4 toward the VC. You'll see I'm only rolling 4 die with a reroll, that small little deal there. And then that symbol is that it's an aim shot, so I can only shoot at 1 location on the attack board, which again, I will show you in a little bit. There's some other gear here. You can see the medic has a little medic bag. He's got a magazine of ammo. So again, if I fired with the blue, I would burn through that whole mag, and you can run out of ammo quickly in this game. So you got to be a little careful and judicious. Let me quickly show you some of the other guys. So here's another M16. Here's a grenade. This gentleman here, what is this? R. Moore. I have nicknames on this. You see, it comes with some stats. We're going to roll over here. We've got yet another guy. Now, he's got a sniper rifle. So you can see he does not have any blue area where he can just fire a bunch of area shots. His is single shots only. And grenade and like a smoke grenade. And then you even have, this guy has an M14. That's an M14 down there. So you can trick out the weapons. He's carrying an M60. But in order to have an M60, you got to have an infantryman. You can upgrade, and I'll flip through some of the guns here in a little bit. But the whole point showing here is just how you trick out these things. So you're upgrading, you're carrying different weapons, and then the abilities that your guy brings with him. All right, just to show some of the other weapons, I'll put them on here. We've got a mortar. We've got a flamethrower, a law rocket, the M14, but with a rifle scope on it. One of my personal favorites, although I haven't used it in the game yet, the M3 grease gun. Actually stayed in use with tankers all the way up into the first Gulf War. The M60. You can pick up an AK-47 and rock and roll. Then you've already seen the M14, the shotgun, the sniper rifle, and the M16. All right, so let me just walk through kind of how a basic turn would go. So I'm looking at my grid map, and I decide I want to move over to this grid, so I move over. Because I did not move diagonally, I moved orthogonally, I'm just going to look at the terrain feature on the left-hand side, which happens to be mountain. Now I'm going to adjust the time it took my unit to move through this area, which is all on the board. A mountain happens to take an hour for me to move through. And there's a fatigue adjustment, which a mountain's pretty hard to hike through or march through or tactically move through. So I'm going to have to move my fatigue level 4. Now, if I ever get to a level where I have to camp or I can't make the move, I'm going to have to camp before I do it. My unit's exhausted and I have to rest. Now, at this point in time, I might trigger story elements, which are very much like ambush. You'll go, if you trigger a story element, you'll go read a paragraph in a paragraph-like book that'll tell you X kind of things. So it could be, well, the one I'm in, your man on point tells you, hey, there's some movement up ahead. What do you want to do? I have a decision to make. I can send him up to scout it, but I'm warned that it's a very dangerous area with a lot of booby traps. Okay, maybe I don't want to do that. I could decide to sit chilly and just see what evolves. And I pick one of those two things and it sends me to another paragraph. Now, in there, I'll do a die roll under usually perception, but it could be under intelligence or any one of these things that are on the card. And oftentimes I can pick the Marine that's going to be doing this. Sometimes it has to be multiple Marines that do it, or you're given restrictions. I then make a die roll. I'll get into all the die rolls. There's 3 types that you have to, that are slightly different. I'll cover those in a moment. But basically it's was I successful in doing whatever the paragraph I'm trying to do? If so, the benefit will break my way or I'll get information, or in this particular case, the person moving around or the noise heard by my point man is a downed chopper pilot who's named Trust. I then am told to record the name Trust on my little piece of paper or my provided sheet as a main trigger event, which could have a branching effect later on in this game or somewhere else, maybe even in the campaign. I don't know what that could be. I know when I had James Buckley on my show and we were talking about it, you know, in my mind, I'm role-playing this out already thinking, well, if I save this downed pilot and I can get him back with my squad, maybe in the future, if I'm in a tight spot and I need a helicopter evac or some ammo brought in, maybe if I have this trust element that I've succeeded in, maybe he's willing to come in and help me out in the future because of what I've just done. Now, I don't know any of that. I'm just already imagining that that's some of the branching that could happen. And if I don't help him, or I missed or failed part of this challenge, he would have just drifted on by and I would have thought, oh, we just missed making a contact with the enemy. Okay, but I missed out on a story element. So there's these cool story elements. Now, combat can be triggered by a story element, or it can be triggered by me basically making too much noise, and I will pop into that combat board now. All right, first let me show you the dice. These are trigger dice. You're usually going to be trying to match the numbers that are on those dice. The white dice are your opposed dice when you're rolling, or you'll see them placed down here as your VC units, with the higher the number being the higher their strength. The red dice are your dice that you're rolling, your weapons dice, and you'll be rolling X amount of red dice trying to match the trigger dice. So a 3 and a 3 would be a match, But if it was opposed, that 3 would cancel out my 3. I don't know why those laid down that way. I didn't do that intentionally. I'll go into those a little bit more detail. That's a sniper die. Actually, you will use it with this version of a battle card, and that is your alert die. There's green, which is the best you can get, yellow, and then red. And let me rotate this down just a little bit. So on this card, you'll see several things. One is this little symbol here is when the combat triggers. You'll look at this and it's telling me, okay, something's kicked off. It's a sniper. I'm going to add a purple die to each VC attack. So that sniper die is going to be involved with each VC attack that happens when I do a chit draw. Now, you can also see the sniper is located at this location, and these 3 triangles are showing that that is the most distant location involved. Single triangles are close. A lot of times you'll have a special action where they're throwing grenades at you. They're that close. 2, of course, is the next range out. 3, and sometimes you'll even get ones with 4, very far range. Now, a couple things to show. This blue right here means there'll be 3 trigger dice, so I would actually have added 3, and that would be what I would be rolling. So the more of those that are out there, the easier it is for me to hit those numbers, just because there's more possibilities. Now you can see right below the 3 there with the blue, those are the type of terrain features that this card works with. If you're fighting in a city and you drew this card, obviously you're not going to be out in a jungle type setting. You would actually then set that aside and draw another one until you got something that matched the terrain you're in. Make sense? Easy breezy. So you're going to take and put dice down that will match, if I can hold on to them. Hello. So the 5 will go up there for that sniper, the 3's popping on there. I'm going to have a 4 for this one, and I'm going to have another 4 for this one. But you can see this other area I left empty has a red, half of a ring is red and half is yellow. That has to do with the threat die. So I would have rolled the threat die. If it had come up yellow, I would fill that in because red and yellow threat dice mean extra VC, more danger. If it was green, nothing would go there. We'll just leave that out of there for now. And you can see along the bottom here, there are chits I will be drawing from a bag. And if I draw a certain chit that has that symbol on it, it means there's going to be some VC support going on. But an attack could be, we'll just do it with an M16. So let me set this on these cards for now. So I'm going to use the M16. I'm going to activate a Marine. Let's assume it's the Marine's turn. I'm going to activate him. I'm going to move the initiative marker 5 spaces toward the VC. That's probably going to move it into the VC realm where they'll take the next combat action against the Marines. And I'm not doing the cream action. That would only be 4. I'm doing this blue one because it's way more effective. I'm going to be rolling 6 red die. I'll be re-rolling any dice that don't hit. And that little burst symbol, which I talked about earlier, means I can target, I'm moving this out, I can target any location like this one or this one. I can target both of them that are in that area. So I can't target these 2, different range, but I could go for these 2 or these 2. Now looking at it, that is the one that if I roll that, then there's going to be a support +3 if there's at least 1. So I want to take this unit out because if this guy was down to 1, he would get beefed back up if I pull that certain chit. So I'm going to decide I'm emptying my entire M16 mag. It's going to allow me to attack both of these because of that symbol there. I could have done it here, but I want to get rid of that special symbol. And I put him down on the wrong. No, he was a 3. Interesting. All right. And then what I'm going to be doing is bringing in my dice tower. I'm going to roll these, and I'm going to roll 6 red dice all at the same time. These will not be opposed by any white die. There's nothing else involved in this. I'm going to bring in my dice tower dice tower, and we'll drop these in. All right, we're going to pull out and let's tidy these up. So, oops, moved it too far. Let me line these up. So we have a 1, 4, 4. What I'm going to do is immediately, ooh, I did a terrible roll. So my 4 will line up, but nothing else does. What was that? I knocked it over. It was not a 4. We'll just say it was a 5. However, there's 2 4s. So the cool thing is my 1 4 that I rolled will count as 2 hits. That's good, but I need more. Now, if you remember from my card, see if it'll focus. Come on. There we go. I've got a little re-roll, that little tiny die. So I can re-roll my misses. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to hope for a bunch of 4s would be great, or 1s. All right, I rolled and, well, not too good, but not too bad. I got another 4, a couple 5s, and a 2. This 4 will come in, and that's going to mean I got 4 hits. Nothing else hit. I would have loved to have gotten a bunch more 4s, or if I would have got some 1s, that would have been 1 hit. But because there's 2 4 blues, every 4 I get counts as 2 hits. Now you're remembering I was attacking these 2 locations because I'm doing an area attack. I've emptied my entire M16 mag, and I can spread these 4 hits out any way I want. I want to wipe out this unit because I do not want him to reinforce all the way. If he does, he'd go right back up to 3. So we're going to go ahead and destroy him. He's out. I'm going to put him on this battle board, which is sitting over here like so. All right. And I'm going to just bring this guy down from 4 to 3. So you can see had I rolled better, boy, what if I'd gotten 5 4s? That would have been 10 hits. I would have knocked them both out. It wouldn't have done any damage to any other sections, but I was hoping to at least get 3 more hits and knock that one out. That would be my turn. I would look over, and now I would see that, yes, the initiative has slid over to the Vietnamese, and they're going to attack my Marines. So there's a draw bag, whatever you have, you can just chit draw. And I'm going to show you just a couple tokens that I've pre-selected out. So the first thing is you have some standard tokens, and I'll just put them right down here and see if I can get them around. So the first thing you see is the number 4, again with these arrows to the right. That's initiative. So that's meaning that the VC initiative is now going to push to the right, either 4 or 5, depending on which one of these I drew. Now again, these are blind chit draws, so you don't know what you're going to be drawing. But let's say I just drew that 4. I would adjust the VC marker. I know they're going to get another turn. And this 1 broken heart means they're going to hit. They've fired their guns. They're going to hit one of my troops. Now I have 6 troops out here, and they each have a marker by them. I'm going to roll a die, and it's a 3. So I would look, and 3 is actually my medic, and he has now potentially taken 1 hit. However, it says that he can seek cover. So by rolling 3 reds, I'm looking to now get matching numbers. So basically, if I could roll triple 1s or any double 1s, that would mean cover. I only need 1. So I roll these. Let's see what they are, and that's perfect. So you can see I was looking for matching numbers in this test. So the 4 means nothing. I got a 5 that matches a 5. That means I took cover, and I can minus 1 of the hits. Now there was only 1 hit made. This could have been a 5 as well, which meant I could have also then covered off and not had a second one hit me. But there's only 1 that would have hit me. I was able to find cover, and it turns out I did not get any hits at all. Now, had it been this marker, I would have still received 2 hits. The Marine would have then taken wound counters to reflect that. Very interesting, this battle card, the chit drawing. You do have these extra little chits. You can draw these red striped chits. Those, like this one, would mean this would have triggered, which is why I wanted to take that guy out. He had that symbol. Okay, this would mean that if that chit was drawn, I wouldn't be able to do that group targeting attack in the future, so it's no longer allowed. There's multiple different, these special red chits that mix and match and make your combat different or fresh or random, and throws decision elements at you that you have to then figure out on this combat board. So this is your combat scene. You got a sniper way off in the distance. Sorry, I would have factored him in. He would have had a sniper shot as well. I've got to factor in these different folks here, or VC, and me shooting at them, and how well I do, the kind of weapons I'm using, which team members are taking what type of shots. Very, very evocative, and this card is your combat scene. Let me just flip down a few more of these combat environments so you can see the multitude. All right, we're going to just throw them in. I'm not going to explain them. That's the same one, and they're not going to stand up on these dice well. And we'll just flip them on here. They'll slide around and they'll move. You can see a big old 4 range there. All right, sliding right off the screen. There's more of a plains, mountainous region. But you can see they've all got little different things going on with them. So this is a very neat and interesting concept. Now look at the ranges on this. You got guys at extreme range. All right, just to give you the sample. Boom. So let me pop back out to me at the table, and I'll give you some of my final thoughts. Again, remember, these are all preview copy pieces. Anything with this could change. Nothing you've seen here is final. All right, we're back. So I walked through. I did not show some of these encounter cards that are in here where you're running into some huts or an enemy camp or some dead bodies or an enemy patrol, some random sickness, a booby trap. These are kicking off. I should have showed those. I was kind of in a hurry and I didn't. But they work under the same kind of rolling system where you're rolling and you're trying to get your trigger dice and they're opposed by the white dice. So that's a story element I didn't have. I love, love, love these battle cards. The idea, so let me back up a little bit. To me, this is a combination of 3 things, the game as a whole, as it stands now. Again, I can't say enough. It's a preview copy. Who knows where it's going to go. But the genesis is that it is a story-based game in Vietnam. Yeah, that's staying the same. It has these elements that feel like Ambush, the game I loved from Victory Games back in the 80s. With the paragraphs there that you pick and little surprises happen and narrative things are going on. So it's role player-ish. You can play it that way if you wish. These events are happening. They're randomized. You make decisions, and then that can send you down these branching trees. Branching trees. So the narrative system is very ambush-like. The combat is not at all. There's no particular, there's a guy and you're shooting at him. You're on these combat boards, but I dig them. So that's where it breaks away from ambush. Oh, the branching storylines. Feels very much a la Choose Your Own Adventure books. You're picking this, you're going there. This is what happens here. Roll the die. Pick a troop or whatever kind of thing you're trying to pass, survivability, perception, whatever. Do you succeed or not? Go to here, go to there. So it is ambush like with the paragraph booklet. It is then branching, choose your own adventure story line. I love the maps, which I didn't show, all these double-sided maps, which are gridded like how a actual military map would be. You can take grids down smaller and smaller for more and more accuracy, but this is game-wise. You're moving into these different areas. And then the role player-esque. It's not full role player at all. You're not like, making up things that you're going to do, but the ability to trick out your Marine or your group of Marines. If you're playing one, you're covering all of them, or maybe you're got a buddy there and you're handling three and they're handling three. You're picking the weapon, the M79 Thumper, the grenade launcher. Maybe you want that M16 and you're going to drop a whole mag. You're a sniper and you're just taking one shot, one kill. But the idea that your troop is pictured with these abilities to start with, and then you've got this card that allows you on the side. At first you're a cherry, you're a rookie, but you can then venture off into different elements: infantryman, recon, medic, radio operator. There's all these different skill sets you can do, and then in those sets you can level up. Is it 3 or 4 times? I want to say it's 4 times, getting better and better skill as you go. And therein lies your role-playing element, because if you're doing the campaign system, your guys are wounded, they're getting out of the hospital, they're coming back in, you get invested. You don't want to lose these troops because they've done things. They've done story elements in games that you're just like, So again, this is a preview copy, but you can see the heart and soul of this game. I don't believe that's going to change. I know components might. The dice system of rolling and trying to match either the trigger dice or trying to just make a roll, a test roll, and trying to get duplicates or triplicates or quadruplets or whatever. The more you can get in the row are the same, the more cover you've had. All those elements make it fast. Everything pops. In this type of game, you don't want the action to slow down. You want to be making decisions. I'm moving. Whoop, ran into a booby trap. What are we doing here? Whoop, oh, threat dies high. Combat's triggered. Who am I targeting? This person. Whoa, it's their turn. My turn. VC turn. My turn. Man, I'm taking damage. Oh my gosh, I gotta get out of here. I gotta do a medevac, blah, blah, blah. And the things just roll and just drives you forward like a train with no brakes, baby. A train with no brakes. So, Purple Haze, set in Vietnam. That's almost a plus right there all by itself. There's not enough war games in that Vietnam segment, and none that I can think of that do this story branching kind of stories. Okay, I know there's some out there. Okay, I'm sure there's some. But that's Purple Haze. Hopefully you got a feel for it. And Chief, Bonding with Board Games.